Good afternoon and welcome back to VP4 Online. We have yet another match in this year's VP4 10 Ball World Championships, a round 2 match between vincez and Bedhead. And vincez has just arrived in the lobby and apparently he's from Antarctica. We'll believe that when we see it. And Bedhead is from Sweden. If we have a quick look at the bracket, the match is due to start at the top of the hour, which is about another minute and a half away. And the matches that we've covered so far on the live stream, they've all been one-sided, and we've yet to see a match where it's going to go all the way, or at least make it a bit more interesting, because we've really not seen much so far. One player's dominated, and the first match, well, one of the first matches we watched was Bedhead against Larry, and Bedhead dominated that. And we've got a couple of matches scheduled here. We've got Mr. Bill and Romario have just scheduled, and that's for 12 AM. That is tonight at midnight my time. Now the good news for that is that I am actually off tomorrow, so I'll be able to get that if I can keep my eyes open. This is a match we're waiting on. These are all round 2 matches, and there's another one with Popman and Interchange X. They're scheduled, I think, for Saturday. So those are the matches that are up and coming. But the one we're going to be watching is going to be vincez and Bedhead. So room should be going up any second. And quick reminder, it's race to 14. It's alternate breaks. They will lag for the break. And well, Bedhead's been in away mode, so presumably he's sitting already and set to go. Both players will get an audible alarm letting them know that the room is up. So vincez is sitting in the chat, and I'm hoping for a decent match. Vincez is a very capable player, as of course as Bedhead. The room is up. We've got one player in. We've got both players in, and I don't know whose cue's what, but we're about to lag off. Pretty good lag, but vincez has just won it, and he will break. And straight away, it's a dry break. No shot for Bedhead unless he wants to try a fairly ambitious combo on that 1 and 4. Everything's been tested. The YouTube chat should be working, Twitch chat should be working, and Facebook should be working as well. The only thing we need to test is my little doodle. And that's working okay. And that is a hook on the 1 ball, and I don't know whether there's enough room between the 4 and the 6. Yes, there is. Easy enough to kick it. He's looking as if he's lining up a jump. Well, one ball in the open, but it's not an easy one. Queuing down over that 5 ball and 9 ball. So the path to the 3 isn't a problem. He's going to have to leave an angle. Ideally, he would want to leave the cue ball somewhere around where the 2 ball is, but he's the wrong side of the 2. So he may well have to play this with a little bit of inside English if he's going to check it off the rail. Well, he's just stunned and drawn it back. And once again, Bedhead's done his old favourite thing. He's left himself a bit more of an angle than he really required, but it's an angle enough to get him out. If he avoids the collision in the 4, he should have a shot, and that's pretty good. And now the other problem here is if he hits that 6 too firm, he could bring it off the rail and block himself in a 5 here. That's the danger. And he's playing with bottom right English to try and spin off the 6 or avoid it. Well, that wasn't the plan. He was trying to disturb the 5 and 9. He's managed to do it, but again, it's another tough one. He always likes to make things difficult for himself. And of course, this cue ball is running out into the table. He has to hit it with enough pace to get the 5 in the hole. And now he's got no shot in the 6. Looking to thin it. Come up the inside of this 8 ball by the looks of it. He's trying to use the 8 ball per cover. Let's see how he's done. Well, that's okay. Again, it's an easy shot to jump over the 8 and try and clip that 6 in. The only thing, again, with the jump shot is that with the ball, the object ball being close to the rail, the danger is actually bouncing off it and going off the table. That's the danger here. And the other thing is where the cue ball might end up. Well, vincez failing on his first attempt at a jump, and that has more or less handed the rack to Bedhead, provided he can run these last 5 balls, but there isn't any problem. Good angle off the 7. Get the cue ball out into the table. Now this time of day, when I got home from work, I've been home for work for about an hour, and I've had something to eat. I had a snack. Normally at this time of day I am asleep in front of the TV. I usually have a nap, and I am in desperate need of a nap right now. I'm falling asleep. Well, hopefully these guys can keep me awake. So Bedhead is going to get first blood, and this all came about with the attempted jump shot from vincez, a failed attempt. So the safety worked, and Bedhead got his reward. And of course now that has gone against the break. Bedhead now breaking off in rack number 2. The 5 ball has gone. A shot in the 1, 2 ball down the left hand rail, 3 ball into the right middle, and it could very likely be a break and run here. There's every possibility of it. And I think that's, let's have a look and see what angle he's got. He might want to help this with a little bit of spin to get a good position on that 4. If he'd gone straighter, it would have been better. He would have just been able to roll through. So he's going to have to drop through to the side and avoid any collision to go on the 6, and he's played that well. And now just a little soft draw back off this 6 ball for the 7 into the right middle, I would think. And now he wants to get top side of the table here. He wants to get, has to get down this side. He doesn't want to be finishing anywhere like that to play the 8 ball. And he's finished the shots the wrong side of it, so now the cue ball's running away. Well, he's just going to play it from distance again. And the pace is good. And it's 2-0 to Bedhead. So from that ball in hand that he had, he ran out the first rack, and he's now broke and ran the second rack. And Vincez has had 2 shots. He's had the break off in the first rack. That attempted escape with the jump cue is his second shot, and since then it's been Bedhead already dominating these first 2 racks. But Bedhead now has given Vincez a chance. Got to get onto that 2 ball though. And he's running a bit too far. He's going to hook himself here. Let's see. I don't think he can see any of that. No. So now he's got another opportunity to get this jump cue working properly. The first one was not a good effort. Well, he's got the jump that time but missed the pot. Well, he could be in trouble, but Bedhead's not thinking about that. He's looking at lining up the combo here on the 4. Well, he's decided on the safety. Just try and lock the cue ball up here. That will do it. And it's fairly easy to kick at the 2. Vincez has called the left corner pocket just in case he gets lucky here. can't stop yawning. I should have had a cup of coffee before this match started. Well, vincez is way off the mark there. There's another thing that I mentioned yesterday in the last match that we had, which was what the hell match was it again? Snake Eyes and Semi-Pro, and Semi-Pro has been getting a fair wee bit of table time in the lobby, and Snake Eyes was never online, and he turned up to play his match and was frozen out the game, never got into it at all really. And vincez might be heading down the same route even this early on, because he's way offline there with that kick shot. Had 2 jump shot attempts, one unsuccessful, the other one successful as far as the pot goes. As far as the jump went, but didn't get the pot, and that failed kick with ball in hand for Bedhead again. It's not looking too good here. Well, it looks fairly straightforward to draw. Stunning draw up the right hand side of the table here for this 9. He could come across, but there's always a danger with that shot. Yeah, he just tried to... He wanted a wee bit more spin in that for it to come up a bit more square towards the 9. Again, he's left these high angle cuts. In it goes. The pace again is good, and it's going to be 3-0. So Bedhead off and running, and vincez has well, he's not even on a slow burn, he's yet to ignite, but he's going to have to shake himself down and try and somehow get himself off the mark here. It's already taken a pattern much like the match yesterday. I think Semi-Pro was like 6 or 7-0 up before Snake Eyes eventually won a rack, and he had a good chance prior to that to win a rack and managed to throw it away. vincez doesn't want to go down the same route, but he's played a decent safety there. I don't know whether Bedhead can get the angle to get that one. Can he get past the 3 and clip the 1? Yeah, just caught the edge. And well, there's a shot on here, but it's by no means easy. In fact, vincez doesn't like the cut, he's going for the bank. Even if he gets this and gets a shot in the 2, his chances of running out are fairly slim unless he gets a breakout on that 7 and 9 ball at the top of the table. The 1 ball has just dropped in. He does have a possibility, and this is where it would be risky, provided he can get around onto that 3 If he gets on the 4 from this side, he can stun into the 7 and 9, and that would open them out. The only problem with that is you're taking a big risk as to whether you'd actually get on the 5, because the 5 ball is sat there. So the breakout shot is on, but it's a breakout shot that you're going to have to just ride your luck. And, well, he can still do it. He can still attempt the breakout. You see, that wasn't from the best of angles. It would have been better had he got over to the left-hand rail. So now all he's got is a safety. Well, he's getting ambitious here, going for, well, he called a 6 in case he nudged it in, but it wasn't really something he was going for. He was more concentrated on keeping that 5 ball safe. But it's an easy kick again for Bedhead. Just a little bit of right spin. He can kick in behind it, and if he doesn't play it too hard, he won't cause any damage. He'd be unlikely to leave a shot on for his opponent. Oh, this would be a really ambitious shot. He's calling the kick on the 5 to hit the 7, to hit the 9, and to knock the 6 in. Now, they look actually pretty well set here. This will be a cracker of a shot. Yeah. Got this 5 ball solid and just punched it off the rail and didn't do any damage at all. But that still keeps the 7 and 9 sort of safe, but there won't be once that 6 ball disappears, because the 7 and 9 will then be set as a combo along that top rail. And that is unlucky. He's got the split on the 7 and 9, but no position in the 6. So once again, all he can do is nudge it along the rail and get distance on this cue ball down to the bottom of the table here. That's not bad, because Bedhead can only see half of the 6 ball, I think. But he's lining up the bank. It's off the top rail, so it is a good possibility of the bank shot. And in it goes. And I don't think he's got any luck, has he? I don't think he can get to any potting angle in that 7. No, he can't. So just another safety here. Good afternoon, Yama. I think you're the only one that's joined us at this time of day. Late afternoon over here, 4 PM, well, 4:25 now. 4 PM when the match started. And Vincez in trouble again. Oh, good evening, Slim, or good afternoon, sorry. Well, he managed to just clip the edge of that, and it's ended up pretty good. Bedhead again calling a pocket. The right thing to do. Well, that's what I was saying before this match started. All the matches I have managed to be able to stream so far, they've all ended up one-sided. And none more disappointing than that one yesterday with Semi-Pro and Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes were just not at the races at all. And Vincez needs to get himself off the blocks here. Desperate to win this rack. But who's going to come out on top in the safety battle here? Now, what's happened here? I think he might have got away with that, has he? No, he hasn't. Vincez can get the edge on the 7, but he's going to have to play a good shot here to try and get back onto that 8 ball. He doesn't want to run into the 8 ball if he can help it. He really just wants out into the table somewhere to have a shot in the 8. But I don't think he would want to run into it. Well, I don't think he really felt that he could get that edge of the 7 to pot it, or he just didn't fancy the shot. And well, having said that, his chance might have just gone, because that looked as if it clearly would cut that 7 ball. So the only problem was not really having any control over where the cue ball was going to finish at that angle. And this time I think Vincez is now in trouble. Now he can dig out the jump cue and he can get a long jump over that 10. You just don't raise the butt of the cue quite as far. You can get the jump, but you just want to get that distance over the 10 ball. And well, let's see if he judges this one any better. This is not the kind of jump shot that a lot of people play in VP4. Most of the time the jump shot is over a very short distance. This has got to get over, and he needs a bit of luck. Well, he got the kiss off the 10. The angle on this 8 ball's a bit concerning. He could get the wrong brush off this 9 if he runs into it. I don't know whether he can avoid it. Well, he can. That's even better. And now it's looking pretty good here for Vincez to get off the mat. Anybody know where Vincez is from? He's certainly not from Antarctica. Is he from one of the South American countries or anywhere like that? So finally he's on the board and he's got the break as well. Is that 9 going to go in? No. No luck in the break. And the 1 ball will squeeze past the 5. Yeah, well, he's decided for some reason to choose the Antarctica flag as his country, which is a bit silly. I was just wondering if any of you guys had any idea. China, you thought? Oh, Albie's here as well. Good afternoon. Now, what does he do about that 2? That 2 is tight looking. Let's have a look. That's very tight. So easy to run it into that 9. It does go, but the ideal way for that to go is to be right behind the 2. And that's what happens. He was desperate to avoid clipping the 9, and he's pushed it to the jaw. Well, no problem in potting the 2 because you can just hit it full in the face. It will still go in. And he needs to judge the little draw off this. Excuse me. And this is another shot where he has to avoid traffic to come back across for that 4. It goes past the 8, I think. And he's trying to get into the gap. He needs to get a bit more weight. He's locked himself out. And it was much easier to overhit that shot and get it anywhere in there rather than underhit it. Underhit the shot, you're left yourself open to problems. Even if he'd overhit it and it had bounced and went that way, he still had a pot in the 4. So now the old kick and hope. And no joy. Once again, that's just running out of shape. Not getting the pace of the shot right. A good opportunity there for vincez to get another one back, and it's all but gone. And the other problem here is getting the nice angle on the 7. Now where he is now with that cue ball, where the cue ball is now on that 7 is perfect. He's Chinese, is he? And that angle there is just as good. He can just softly drag that 7 ball in. He could even risk stunning across towards a 10 ball, but he can just drop in. He's missed a 10, which is ideal, and this rack is over. So the unforced error by vincez is going to cost him dear in this rack. Oh, has Bedhead gone far enough? No, he hasn't. He has not. Can he try and squeeze behind that 10? Just enough help and spin to try and just... He can't hit this hard either, that's the other problem. Cannot hit it hard. He had to let it take the angle, and the pace was just a wee bit too much there for that. So Bedhead got himself out of line. Now this is a chance that well, vincez has to take. He has to make some kind of move here, and that will do. So from looking down and out in this rack after the error in shape, he's managed to pinch it, and we're back to 3-2. But Bedhead breaking off in rack number 6. Something went down, did it not? Yep, 3 ball has gone. Not sure whether he can get that 1 ball thin enough. A possibility. And he'll be running around the angles and have a shot in the 2. Well, he managed to run into the 10, so that's actually helped him. A simple shot here is... Let's have a look at the angle he has first of all before we assess that. Well, he's actually a wee bit straight, but he can go forward and around the angles. Now he might want to try and come across the table for the 5 into that left middle. If he's going to do that, he just has to be careful of the scratch into the opposite middle. Five does go past the 7 though. Yeah, he's trying to just get the other side of the 5. Ideally, there would have been perfect. He's a bit straight. He might be able to still cheat this with a bit of spin. And again, the weight of shot is what's lacking there. He's again left his old favourite high cut. Well, that's ideal. Just drop the 7 in and leave a wee angle on that 8 ball to stun the 8 in and get the cue ball out and across the table for the 9 into the same pocket. Just wants to roll this 7 in dead weight and leave the cue ball where the 7 is, more or less. That's enough angle to get the cue ball out. And that's pretty good. So Bedhead is going to have his 2-rack gap again. Now leads by 4 racks to 2. Break back to vincez. Now a ball has gone in. That 2 ball has just run almost dead to that left rail, which straight away has caused a problem for the possible run out. So the 1 will go. It's a pot into a blind pocket. He's not looking at the pocket when he's potting this. He's just got to pick that hit point on the 1. But no guarantee he's going to have a good shot in this too, though. He can stun off that right rail and come across, but he needs to hit this firm to get that cue ball moving. Oh, he needs a wee bit of luck, and that's not bad. Had plenty of power in that to get the stun to work, and he's got a little bit of a result. But this 2 ball is still not a gimme. I think he wants to just kill the cue ball. He's just got a little angle, and now things are taking shape here in this rack. Another chance to respond quickly. No, Yama's been in there in shooter's pool. I've seen him in there once or twice. He's had enough of VP4. Well, that's out of line. Cue ball is going to be running now with this cut shot in the 6. Well, I seen you in there a little while ago. A week or 2 ago. And that's a good shot. Decided to take it into the top corner to give him a much better chance of getting good position on the 8. And that was a good choice of shot. because it was the more difficult shot. And that little collision with the 9 has done him no harm either. Whose idea is that, tin, that Yama is VP Monster? No, he's certainly not. And this has been a good rack here for vincez to win. He's done a fair bit of hard work there, and that's a good result. So he's back to within 1. And now the break goes back to Bedhead for rack number 8. It's dry, and vincez has a shot in the 1. Now, admittedly, it's not great. His odds of getting good on the 2 off this, because the cue ball is just running towards that 3. And he could get a nasty little kiss off that 3 and finish with no shot at all in the 2. Well, that's good that he's avoided the 3-ball collision. Well, this time I don't think he's got much of a choice. He can feather it through gentle and just try and hold there for the 3, or go round the angles. So he's went around, and that's still looking good. That's gone a wee bit too far. This is a delicate one. He doesn't want to get behind that 8-ball. The pace is nice again, but he's gone straight this time. Can pinch a little bit here if he wants to get that cue ball off the side and out. Managed to use the draw. And again he's gone straightish, so he's still working this cue ball. He's just hanging in there at the moment to get this rack done and dusted. And the pace in that is nice as well. Well, it looks as if this little contribution by vincez is beginning to get him off and running. Important now that he follows this up and gets the match back all square. And I think the break goes back to vincez after this. I might be wrong, I usually am wrong. And this is even more important that he's won this rack if he has the break next. Just needs that bit of luck. Yes, he does. So into rack number 9, we're back all square, 4 racks all. vincez breaking off, and of course he gets no joy, but this time he doesn't leave anything on here for Bedhead. Bedhead locked behind the 9. And he's looking for the push out. I don't think he would do an awful lot of harm if he went across the right. He would leave a possible bank on for vincez into that right middle though. Well, he's played it at that pace. He's still left the option for vincez if he wants, but I'd be more inclined to just try and get distance between those 2 balls. Although the path back to the top of the table with the cue ball is hampered by the 9. Well, let's have a look. Well, the 1 ball will cut at that, but look at the angle he's at. There's no way he's playing that because he's square on it. So just looking to keep it tight. Well, what does Bedhead do here? Does he try and billiard that 5 in? Or is he just trying to roll through the cue, roll that 1 ball up past the 8 and around those 2 rails at the corner just to leave it covered? Well, he is going to play the billiard. Of course, playing the billiard, he doesn't know where the 1 ball's going to end up. And he's missed the billiard, and he's left a chance. Oh, that little kiss in the 6 has come in handy. Now he's going to have to err on the safety side here and try and get up by that 9 ball. That would be the safest shot to play because that would give him the best sight on the 3 ball. If he tries to play this gentle and hold below the 6 ball, yeah, that's the best way to do it. Get the cue ball up to the 9. And now he can find the gap. The gap is there past the 10 and the 9 ball to get to that 4. And as long as he gets in between those 2 lines, he's got the shot. Well, this is something he has to run out now because these balls are perfect. And now we may have the beginnings of a match on here. Well, wrong side of the 7, so now he has to bite the bullet and make the choice. He can play this with inside left to stun off the rail and back up, and that needed a bit more, but he still got the cut, but he needed a bit, another 3 or 4 inches on that cue ball. But it would probably better if he'd went around the table to get to the side, but if it runs across and misses the 9, and now he's out of line, he can still cut it. He's just got to think about the cue ball here. He doesn't want to try and do anything fancy. Just draw off the 9, but just a gentle one, so the cue ball isn't running away. And that will do. Still not home and dry. This is a little tester. And in goes the 10. And vincez is most certainly back in the match. He now takes the lead. 5 racks before the break. Goes back to Bedhead for rack number 10. And it's a dry one again. Although this time, even though Vincez has got a shot in the one. He's going to have some sort of position. Well, he's calling the combo in the 10. This is a wee bit ambitious, but it might be a bonus if he gets it in. Oops, wrong button. Oh, that'll do. That will do very nicely indeed. A very quick rack, and all of a sudden Vincez has got a 2-rack gap now. 6 racks to 4. And possibly another 1-10 combo coming up here. It's nowhere near set, not at all. He could probably bury Bedhead here if he wants to. And he's played the safety, and that's a wise move. One more, what? What did I say wrong there? I'm not listening to myself. I'm just... my mouth's open and I'm just saying words. So Bedhead kicking at the 1. He just gets the edge of it. And that's... well, it hasn't got to the rail. But can... well, that 8 ball is a good guide for just clipping the edge of that 1 ball. But cue ball's going to have to run up and down the table unless he tries to baby this in. And it needs to avoid... well, that collision there has actually done him another favour. That's finished pretty good on the 2. The 3 goes past the 9. Well, that's what you need. You need that little bit of running here or there. But it's not how good the running is. It's how much you make of the chance that you get. And so he has to then take full advantage here. And he's trying to find ways to cause problems for himself. But another chance to get practice with this jump stick, because that's what he's going to have to do to get recovery here. And now he's going to have no shot other than the safety of this 5. Oh, that looks a good shot if it runs. Just a wee bit short. Just a tad short. A little bit more running there. He'd have been nailed to that 9 ball. Now, Bedhead... well, he's called the reverse bank into the corner. Well, there's no way he's doing that because he can't get to the point on that 5 ball where he can try and do that shot. So he's looking to play a similar shot here. Needs a little bit of right spin on the cue ball, clip the edge of that 5 and try and sneak in behind the 9. That's the plan, or at least that would be my plan. But he's got the angle to do it. He can create the angle a wee bit more with a little bit of help and spin. Well, he just decided to brush it rather than use the 2 rails to try and get behind a 9. It's still safe, but this is still a chance here. It's a risky shot because you're really riding on luck that the 5 doesn't go near a hole, but he can try and get back towards the 9. Or he can bank it back across and run the cue ball down the table. Well, he's calling the top left-hand corner in this 5 ball. But the more important thing is the cue ball. And that is not bad. But Bedhead can see enough of it, and it's well away from the jaw to get the cut on this 5. It was a good attempt there by vincez. And again, Bedhead is not in the best of positions. Again, this is a tester, it's not a gimme. And that's the problem. So now Bedhead's the one that's now feeling the pressure on those type of shots because he knows the penalty that he's going to pay in a second or two. Provided vincez doesn't do anything silly and get himself somehow behind that 10 ball. Oh, this needs to run. I think he's pretty good. Well, no heroics here. Just stun the 9 in. A simple 10 ball, and it's now going to be a 3-rack gap. And this makes the match very interesting now. And with the alternate break, this is where Bedhead just simply wants a ball in the break and he wants a shot. He's got the ball in the break, 2 balls gone, but nothing doing on that 1 ball. Well, he's looking at the gap between the 3 and the 6. That's pretty tight. I mean, looking at it there, the 1 ball goes, but that is one hell of a cut shot for that to go in. So the safety called. Well, he's called now the 1-6 combo. And that'll do it. Just looking to keep it safe anyway. He didn't really have much of a choice of shots available there because he could only see the edge of the 1. But the end result is pretty good. And this is not quite as simple. There was only a tiny feather edge there of that 1 to clip there for vincez, and he's missed it. And Bedhead now has his opportunity to get 1 back. And it's so important that he responds. Well, this 5 ball could be a wee bit tricky because he's either going to have to come back off the 4 and leave the 5 long, or stun up the table to try and get that 5 into the middle. So he has a choice. He can come back and leave a shot in the 5 that way, but then it's not perfect to get a shot in the 6. The other way is to come down the table and get a shot in the 5 that way. So he's gone for the long option, which means the cue ball's doing an awful lot more travelling. We can see the 6 goes past the 8. So really, he just needs to go forward and avoid the 9 ball. And that spin has sent the 5 offline. And he's got a lucky kick there. Kicked himself into a snooker on vincez. And another old kick and hope shot here. Just kick and hope you get lucky. You don't leave it on. And that isn't bad. A similar shot here yesterday that I think Snake Eyes had, where he was trying to cut a ball from the just off the side rail towards the ball that was near the corner pocket, and it was exactly the same setup here. He had to try and cut it away from the rail to get the potting angle for the combo, and he ended up just getting it too thick and pushing that the first ball away from the rail too far. But he hasn't called the combo, so he's just looking to play safe here, I would assume. He hasn't called anything for that matter, so let's see what he ends up doing. Well, he's called the 6, so if he can hit enough of that 5, he's just punching it all around the table. Well, that's actually ended up fine, even though he called the 6. I thought he was playing to punch it around the table, but he actually played it into the 9. But the end result's good, that's all that matters. He's left it perfectly safe, but Bedhead can get distance here. Just a thin clip on that 5 ball and get the cue ball right up the top end of the table. And the further it goes, the better for his case. And that will do. He's got the hook, easy jump. But because vincez is playing the jump shot, he doesn't have a great deal of control over the end result. He just has to hit that 5 ball full in the face, but he won't be able to get an awful lot of power in it. Well, 5 ball is now resting over the corner pocket. Now is Bedhead going to take the risk here, or is he going to try and just skim out and avoid colliding with the 6 and 8 to leave that 6 on? Ideally, he wants to try and see if he can find the gap between the 6 and the 10 with that cue ball. It's not an easy shot. He looks as if he's drawing into the 8. No, he's played the little draw. Well, this is tough. Tough because it's a real blind pocket shot, but the other problem is running into the 8, which could scupper his chances of getting a decent shot in the 7. So this rack isn't settled yet. But it would be a bonus for vincez if he can take this out. Going to have to dig out a good one here. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. Perfect. Well, perfect bar going dead straight in the 8. Well, he can pinch. He can pinch and spin. I don't know why he's calling the 8, but he's trying to use the right English to to shape off that rail and spin out for the 9. And that's not a bad effort. And this is going to be now a 4-rack lead for vincez. And now we have the alarm bells ringing for Bedhead, because vincez has broken off in rack number 13. He's got a ball on the break. At least I thought he had. Yes, the 9 ball's gone. Well, he thinks he can see enough of this 1 ball to play the bank. Yes, he can. And it's a good bank on this one. You'd expect to get this 9 out of 10 looking at that first diamond there. Oh, that's unlucky. That collision on the 4. And I think that is, if he just plays the edge of the 2, he's just cutting it to the side rail. But it is a good safety though. As long as he avoids the 5, he can get this onto that top rail, and he's just going to have to hope that the cue ball avoids hitting something to give Bedhead a shot. And that will be a good end result for him. Bedhead can only see half of the 2 ball. Well, Bedhead had a tough, well, what proposed to be a tough test in his first match against Larry, but Larry just could not get any joy whatsoever. I don't think he had any lucky break at all in that match. Ended up losing at 14-4. And Bedhead there would like to have another attempt at that safety, because that's just a gift of a start again here for vincez. And if he can run up towards that 10 ball here and at least run into it, or run over towards the 6, he's going to have a shot in the 3. Cue ball can take that path, and I think the pace is pretty good there. That is very nice. Well, a bit of a ropey start for vincez in this match, but he's certainly warmed up, and he's certainly looking fairly comfortable with the pace in the shots now. Now, does he keep this simple? The 6 goes past the 7. Well, this is a little bit of a fiddly one, because he's having to dig just to stun it past the 7 to hold the line for the 7 in the same pocket, but it's okay. And now he's perfect. He is sitting plumb on this 7, but a little run out towards the 8. And now we have Bedhead in crisis here, because it's now going to be 9-4 to vincez, and the break goes back to Bedhead, and he needs a ball and he needs a shot. Well, he's got the couple of balls in the break. How's his luck on the 1 ball? Absolutely none. And that's the frustrating thing about alternate break, especially for Bedhead. Now he's in exactly the same position Larry was. because Larry was, you know, whenever he had a break, he got absolutely nothing. And when he did get a ball, if he did get one, which I don't remember, he had no shot on the one ball. So nothing but just to push out there for Bedhead. Now vincez can get this a good safety if he can bank that one past the 5 towards the bottom rail. He can get that cue ball right up the top end of the table. Now this is still a safety shot. He's called the bank on the 7, but he's just looking for cover. And once again, the outcome is good. The main objective in that shot was keeping it safe, and that's exactly what's happened. And now Bedhead has got the odds stacked against him here now, trailing by 5. And he's going to have to dig out the big guns to get himself back in this match. Once again, it's just a kick and hope. Well, vincez can go all out here for the cut in the 1. He's playing the bank though. If he played the cut in the 1, at least the cue ball's running around the angles down towards that 10 and 3 ball for a shot in the 2. By playing the bank on the 1, he doesn't really have that opportunity. He's going to have to leave the 2 ball as a very awkward cut. You see, he's really got no shot other than trying to play a decent safety. Oh, I don't know what he's called there. I'm confused. He's called the 10 ball, but he's just, to me, just looking to tuck that cue ball away. And another great shot. And Bedhead, well, he's not jumping that, shall we say. And the main objective here is to do nothing that disturbs that 3 and 10 with this shot. Because the 3 and 10 ball sat there will act as a lifeline for Bedhead for the time being, preventing vincez himself from running out. But vincez has played another good tactical shot because he's broke the 3 and 10, he's kept the cue ball safe, and it stacks the pressure on Bedhead even more because now he's got to escape from this hook. And he's looking to, I mean, there's not a great deal of opportunities here in how he gets to this 2 ball. The up and down has got the biggest margin of error, and he's called the 2 into the bottom right hand corner for safety's sake as well. Oh, it's going to go in off the 3. That is a bonus. Now can he take advantage of that one? It didn't go directly in, but it used the help of the 3 ball. And can he put this rack away? And it's not an easy 3 ball. And he's hung it. Oh, it's gone in. It wiped its feet. I thought it was going to stall. But he's still got more problems. It's not straightforward. And of course he's limited by how much he can get into that cue ball as well because he's close to that top rail. Oh dear, this isn't looking good. Or is it? Has he gone past far enough? Yes, he has. He's just made it and no more. Well, nothing ambitious here. Just send the cue ball around the angles, out into the left-hand side of the table. He can drop the 9 into the right middle. So it should be done and dusted, this rack. Well, now he's just going to have to... You can still cut it in. It just means the cue ball's running out, or he's drawn off the 9. Looks as if he's drawn off the 9 to go across the table for the 10. Oh, it's threatening the middle pocket, but he's okay. But, well, this is a desperate rack. Vital rack for Bedhead to win. And to stem the flow from Vincez. I don't know how many racks that was that Vincez has won, but he's won a fair few there in that run. And Vincez breaks off. And this time it's dry. And this time Bedhead has a shot. And look at the balls. I mean, the balls are in the open, but there is a bit of a problem there where the 7, sorry, not the 7, the 8, the 9 and the 10 are all sitting. They're not ideal. He has to pick his way through these. Now, getting rid of the 8 ball is obviously going to open up the 9. And that's gone short. I mean, this is, again, a very thin cut. And the pace is nice. Well, if anything, that nudge in the 10 ball has now made things a bit more complicated, because the 10 ball is now blocking the path for that 8 ball. The 8 ball would have went, and now it won't. So that is going to be the problem ball. Now, the simplest way would be to get over for this 6, roll the 6 in, and just roll the 7 in, and leave a long 8. I don't think he's got any other option, unless he takes a risk to run into something here, but it wouldn't be a good idea. He's going to have to possibly leave the 8 ball long into this bottom right hand corner. I can't see any other options. And that's not ideal either, because he's got a bit more angle on this this 7 ball than he would really like. Now, he could try and come back and play the 8-10 combo, but well, looking at the 8-10 combo, it's not bad. Now, has he found a gap? Yes, he's found a gap, and that was always going to be the risky shot, to get a spot on position on that 8, and he's done it well. Oh, and now he's looking good here. Well, this to get another one back. So this one has come off Vincez's break, I think. the dry break and Bedhead been left a shot in the one. And now Bedhead has the break. Oh dear, cue ball has gone straight into the pocket. Although the balls haven't broken that well. Now what we got down here going on? Oh, I think you can only play the one into the middle from between the 8 and 9. So there's let's just say there's a bit of work to be done in this rack with ball in hand for Vincez if he's going to get any joy out of running this table. And the other problem is making the wrong choice of shot to try and break those balls. He's got to think about the 4 ball. Now he's going to play this 3 ball. The silly shot would be to try and break into those balls from here, when it would be a lot easier to do it from this side. So if he can get the cue ball back down the table off this 3, this is a risky one. He hasn't gone far enough. He had to get right down the table. And he's dead straight in the 4, so there's nothing he can do here other than leave a decent angle in the 5. Now, once again, breaking from the 5 isn't going to do him any favours because the 6 is dead in the rail. So he's now ran into trouble here. And had he got here, he would have been perfect. Slam that 4 in and just break those balls and hope you get lucky in the 5. Well, now Bedhead should be in trouble. And the 8 and 10 are still sitting awkward. So even though Bedhead's going to have to try and find a way to get to the 5, and he's not got a lot of an awful lot of options here. I mean, up and down. If he hits it if he hit it half ball up and down, he's got a risk of breaking those balls open. And likewise, well, that's ended up not too bad. Okay, he's left a shot on for Vincez. Well, this is a true test of his cue ball control to get to that 7 off this 6. But another thing is that 8 ball doesn't really need to be moved if you got good on the 7 to be able to leave that 8 ball long. It will go into the other corner pocket. And that just needs to bounce. That isn't that bad. Now I think he needs to dig into this a wee bit if he can and stun that 10 ball. And if he does that, the cue ball may break over to this side rail where we're looking and give him a shot in the 8. Well, that was the idea. He's left a very tight angle cut on this 8. Very tight. Yeah, Very difficult to judge when the object ball is so close to one another, cue ball and object ball. But that is a chance now for Bedhead to win 3 in a row and get back within 2. Loads of right hand spin on the cue ball, punching it to the left off that short rail to the side rail, and plumb position on the 9, and a roll in long on the 10. So Bedhead has now, well, fought his way back to within 2. Still going to have to keep on top of his game, fully focused to try and get himself back on parity here. And now got vincez breaking, leading by 9 racks to 7. The 2 ball has gone in. Another one of these test and cut shots on the 1. Well, that's good. As long as he's not hampered here, he'll have a decent enough shot in the 3 now. Another choice here, get the cue ball out and just play the 4 onto the 8. But that 8 ball is just almost on the point of the pocket there. But it can also, well, he's trying to get behind the 4. That's a bit ambitious. Well, it's going to be a blind pocket cut again, but look at where the 5 ball is. So he's going to have to go all over the place here to try and form a run out on this set of balls. This is by no means anything easy or anything easier, but where he's left himself, I think he'd have been better to try and just leave the 4-8 combo. And it's going to be a 5-8 combo because, oh no, it's hung up, rattled in the jaws. Really, really tough shot he'd left himself, but I still think he'd have been better, a better percentage shot if he'd left the 4-8 combo. It's anybody's rack, this table. All hinges on that position to the 5 ball. And from where he's sitting on that side rail, good luck. I mean, you're looking down at this 4 ball, it's pretty straight. You can only go forward, you can't do anything else. And if you hit it with pace, you can only keep the cue ball spinning in towards the pocket, and the cue ball won't go anywhere. So he can't get to this 5 ball. It's virtually impossible. Well, he's trying to pinch it in, and well, it's a miracle he got there, even though he doesn't have a shot. And only being able to see a partial edge of that 5 limits his choice of safety. And to be honest with you, that isn't that bad. It's still a very, very thin cut. Well, I'm enjoying this match. This is the best I've seen so far. Far too much one-sided stuff going on. This threatened to be one-sided, with vincez going, what, 3-0 down. Or I think it was 3-0. But we have most certainly got a match on now. And vincez looking to stretch the gap again. And it's happening towards the business end of the match. This rack will take him to double figures. And racks are going to start running out here for Bedhead. Can he get good on this 9? Going to have to... Well, he's playing the simple shot. Not taking any risks. A little roll through will do nicely. And the gap has now gone to 3. It's now 10-7, race to 14. The break is back to Bedhead. And how crucial is this break? Well, he's done the first part of it. He's got a couple of balls. He's got a shot in the 1. Now, again, does he play the percentage shot? If he plays the percentage shot, he gets himself up the table for the shot in the 2 from there. If he plays to the side rail, he can easily block himself out. He doesn't have much of a window to get into there. Now let's look at it. I would say every day of the week I would be playing the 1 ball and getting the 2 ball down there. You have to do that because you've got a much bigger margin of error. Well, he's trying to get there. He's got there. It was risky. And does the 5 past the 6? Yes, it does. Well, he stunned it across for it into the other pocket. And that will still do. Now, how important is this rack going to be in the match? That Bedhead can back himself with the pressure on, trailing by 3 racks, has the break, gets a ball in the break, and has a chance to run out. Now, it looks all too simple to get from the 6 to the 7. And no heroics again. You drop the 7 in, cue ball off that bottom rail, get it out. It only needs to go to there. Just drop it in, cue ball out, and roll the 8 in. Leave an angle in the 9 to pot the 9 and drop behind the 10 and play the 10 from there. That's the route out. So a roll through will give him that angle. And now he can drop onto the 10. And Bedhead, well, he's done all he can. He's had the break and he's broken run. You can't ask for any more than that. And he's got back to within 2. But of course, just as you get that little bit of momentum, the break goes back to your opponent. And the 3 ball is tracking. 3 balls gone in. 2 balls got out the way. Although it's now pretty tight towards the 9. And I don't think vincez can do anything to disturb that 2. The potting angle he has is not really lending itself to any great choices of breaking out the 2. So he's done the common sense thing. If you don't have the opportunity to play the breakout, then why go for the pot? Do the sensible shot, and he's done the right thing. Now that is evidence of somebody, at least I think there's not many players you see where they're actually using their head. You can see that there straight away. Just lock it up tight, put your opponent in bother, and let them worry about it. And again, vincez can have Bedhead in trouble here. Well, it's so simple to kick the one. And if Bedhead gets this right, he could immediately have vincez in trouble. Well, one ball sneaked out. But I think he can stun behind that cluster of balls off this one. Yep, he can get a little, I think he can just get a little bit of stun and just try and get behind the 7 at least. And that is not bad. Although I think Bedhead will fancy his chances to jump that. Yep, there's plenty of room. Now, here's a good point. Does he play the jump to pot the one? I don't think there's any value in potting the one. He should be playing the jump to just cut the one to the side rail. Even if he leaves vincez a shot, the 2 ball's still locked up. And, well, the unfortunate thing is he's scratched. But now vincez has the ball in hand. He can put the cue ball anywhere he wants on that 1 ball to try and break out the 2. Or the other alternative is he has the option to try and get a 3 foul on Bedhead, but he's looking to line up the combo. Well, this is dangerous, because if he doesn't get the combo and that 10 ball goes around the corner in those jaws, there's a chance of breaking the 2 and 9 out. Big risky shot to be taken. Well, what did I say? The 2 ball definitely goes now from this side. It was always a risk that the 10 ball was going to go around the jaws and clip something and open things up a wee bit. He's improved it slightly. But he's also got second prize by leaving Bedhead hooked again on that 1 ball. Well, that was a wee bit lucky. Oh, now the way these balls are set, we're in for a bit of an interesting 2 or 3 shots to come here. Such an important rack in a match. Well, Bedhead, he can jump to hit the 1. He can play the kick off the right side rail and call the 1 into the left middle. But now that 9 ball has gone closer to the side rail, it's now blocking off the 2. So the 2's now tied up, definitely now. And it's gone safe. This match has now been going for an hour and 35. I think, I don't know whether he's trying to go over towards the 2 and 7, but he had to avoid hitting the 10, and that was always going to be the problem. He was trying to go over that side of the table, over to the left-hand side, and provided he had avoided hitting that, hitting the 10 ball, he would have been okay. But again, there's no immediate problem. The one ball is on into the middle, obviously, but you know, Bedhead's going to have to play some heck of a shot to get on that too. Now, can he see enough of that? I think he can, to get this 210. Well, that's a bonus and a half. And how crucial is this combo? Trailing 10-8. It looks dead set to me. I don't think he can miss this. I don't think he can miss this as hard as he tries. He can see enough of the 2 to make the little cut and just catch the 10. Oh, and he's hung it. He's hung the 10. Oh, now it's even more interesting. He's locked vincez behind the 7 and the 9. He can't get to the 2. I don't think he can get to it from there. So he's done the sensible thing. Sacrifice ball in hand. Potted the 10. The 7 ball is still tied up. And Bedhead has all the work to do. Well, we know the 2 and the 4 and the 5 aren't a problem, but it's getting on that 5 in such a way that he can either try and break out the 7 or at least be able to punch that 7 around the table, call a safety, and just try and stun the cue ball behind the 9 and 8. Well, he's gone fairly straight on the 5, so that limits what he can do. I don't know whether he's got enough angle here. Well, there is an angle. He's going to have to... Well, that's... I don't know what... I think he was trying to play... He was trying to get to there to play the punch around the table. And he hasn't got there. And this has to go safe. Has he called the cross bank? Did he call that right hand corner pocket? I never noticed. Don't know whether he can see enough of it to do that. No, that's very tight. I think he can though. Needs to keep going. Well, he's not playing to pot this. Vincez will be digging down and trying to punch this 7 up the table. Try and keep that cue ball close to the 9. And this is going to go wrong if it keeps running. I think he's okay. Let's see that from here. Well, he's definitely hooked behind the 9. You know, can he jump at that distance to get to the 7? Oh yes, he can. Still a very thin cut here. It just squeezes past the 9. He's going to have to go full-blooded at this to get the cue ball back out for a shot in this 9. Oh, he tried to play it dead weight to leave the shot in the 9. He's hung the 8. And Bedhead's chance may well have gone in this rack. Now, is this the rack that's going to decide the outcome of this match? Such an important rack with all of that safety going on, that safety battle. Bedhead eventually got his chance, but it's all went wrong. And it's now 11-8, 3 rack comfort zone. And the break is another dry one. Good evening. Well, it was a good start for Bedhead. I think Bedhead went up 3-0. It wasn't looking good for vincez at the start. A wee bit ropey, but he worked his way into the game and then built up a healthy lead. And we've just seen Bedhead get himself partially back into it in these last few racks, but that one he's just lost there is a sore one. Now the 4 and the 8 are locked up. So this might, and of course with the cluster of balls up in the top left hand corner, this might take a very similar shape to the last rack. We might get a fair bit of tactical stuff going on. Welcome, Popman. There's another match scheduled for tonight. Mr. Bill and Romario have set their match for midnight tonight. And if you can't stay up to watch it, then I certainly will be able to get it, because I'm not at work tomorrow. So I'll have a cup of coffee late on, try and stay awake, and I'll be able to get that match. You can watch it on my YouTube channel if you miss it. Well, Bedhead on the 1 ball didn't risk going for the 1-9 combo. Now what does vincez do? Now if he cuts that 1 onto the 10, it's not going to nudge the 9 in, because the 10 would have come away from the rail. So now we're now into the safety battle. Well, this is just as crucial as the last rack. And the question is whether Bedhead can come out on the winning side this time. Now, he had his chance, but it was the unforced error that cost him, hanging up that 8 ball. Oh, I'm certainly awake. This is the type of stuff I love. Tactical geniuses love tactical bits in matches, because this is where you have to get devious and dirty and use the head and use all the angles and use the cluster of balls and try and tie your opponent up in knots. Well, Bedhead's had enough of this. Unless he's just going to try and bobble the cue ball onto the 2, he's going all out for the 2-10-9 combo. Sorry, the 1-10-9 combo. Yes, it was a sort of half-hearted attempt. He was more inclined to be worried about the cue ball, trying to keep it as close to that 2 as he could. And I don't think vincez can get this cue ball away here. I don't think he can. And you know the danger from this shot. The danger is how restricted vincez is with the shot. Because if he just feathers the 1, There's a possible billiard might be on here. Well, he's trying a billiard himself to thump that 1 onto the 10 and then the 10 on and in off the 9. This will be good if it works out. Well, of course it didn't go, but it's now opened up the 1 and the 2. The 4 is still the safety net for Vincez, because that 4 ball is not going in many places. It will go into that corner, but like I said before, it's getting on it, and there is a way of getting on it. Either if you leave yourself out here in the 3, you go across for the 4, or if you leave yourself there in the 3, you go around the corner for the 4. But it's all about controlling the pace. So Bedhead has got his chance, and it looks as if it's going to have to be possibly across the table. Has he got enough to be able to hold that from there? I think he can. He's got to judge the pace right. Well, he's tried to play a really accurate shot to try and get on that 4 into the middle, and he's finished plumb on the 4. That would go from there, but unfortunately that's the end result of his attempt on the 3. He's hung it up. Well, Vince says, well, this is going to have to be a blast. It's going to have to be a blast with a bit of right English to use it off that 8 ball just to get the cue ball heading in the right direction up the top end of the table, because there's no way he can get on that 5. Well, he's looking to play a draw. I'd be going forward. He's trying to get around the angles. He's almost there. That's a pretty damn good effort, but he's high on the 5. See, the 5 goes past the 9 that way. That's why I'd have been more inclined to go forward. But either or, how you get there doesn't really matter as long as you give yourself a chance. Well, this is now a great opportunity for Vincez to open the gap to 4. He'll be needing 2, and Bedhead will be needing 6. Oh, here's that cue ball going, not on the point. Oh, that was lucky. I thought it was going to lock up against the point of the rail there. Well, you play the big... You either kill it stone dead and leave a difficult run along that short, the long rail, but he's managed to squeeze the angle just to draw it. So now it is a desperate situation here for Bedhead. Try as he might, he can't get those that deficit to come down, and it's going up at the wrong time now. He's running out of racks, and he doesn't have very much to play with. It's now 12-8. Vincez breaking off. The break is dry, and well, it's not a pleasant situation at all here for Bedhead. How does he get anywhere near this 2 ball? He's played the draw to try and get across to the right side. He's now blocked off. Well, from the matches I've seen, to say this is the best match of the tournament is an understatement, because anything I've seen so far has been so one-sided. I've been desperate to get a match where we've got 2 players in the fight, so to speak. But, well, Bedhead has got himself out of one problem. That's a great shot. And now he's got to look to keep it tight. Surely got to play the safety here. Safety's so easy to play. He can thin cut the 3 towards the 5 and 9, or he can try and get the cue ball down into the 5 and 9. But either way, he has to keep distance. Well, now vincez has a choice, and once again he's probably better off just playing a deliberate foul or trying to tie something else up, because he can't get to the 3. There's no way he's getting to the 3. So if he's using his head, he'll just try and lock things up, but he's now going to leave himself vulnerable to the 3 foul from Bedhead. This is shaping up to head that direction. So he's not trying to get to the 3, he's trying to just make things more difficult for Bedhead here. But like I said, it now leaves him vulnerable. Now Bedhead can either put his eggs all into one basket, try and play the 3-9 combo and try and break things out and go for it, or he can try and put vincez into a tight second foul and try and 3 foul him. Because the way the 5 and 4 are just now, they're going nowhere. But it's difficult to actually be able to move that 3 ball and keep the cue ball down amongst those 2 balls. So he might not have any option. So that again, it's good thinking by vincez. He's switched on, no doubt about it. Much simpler locking things up more rather than trying to do something completely stupid to get to an impossible 3 ball and then just break open the table for Bedhead. So Bedhead's got even more thinking to do. He's got a minute shot clock and he's also got a minute extension, and he's going to use the best part of them here, I think, before he's really decided. Now, can he squeeze that 3 ball away? Yes, he can. And where these balls are still sitting, it's now very likely to be the 3 foul attempt. Odds on it's going to be the 3 foul. And from that position again, it's nigh on impossible for vincez to find an angle to get to that 3. So we know the 4 won't go. Bedhead surely has to go for the 3 foul when he gets ball in hand in a second or two. Now, of course, vincez could do the other thing. He could play reverse strategy here. He could punch into that 4 and 5, open the table wide open, and give ball in hand to Bedhead. Now, trailing by 8 racks to 12, it would put the pressure on Bedhead to run out and test his nerve. That's the other choice he has. Again, there's a lot of aspects of the game where you can test your opponent. The pressure's all on Bedhead. And vincez could have just smashed the table open and said, well, there you go. Let's see how good you are. See if you can do it when it's most necessary. So now Bedhead really doesn't have much of a choice than try and find a 3 foul. And he's got the angle to, well, if he plays it right, to skim off the 3 and run in behind the 4 and 5 again. He needs to just brush it, but he has to get the cue ball tight. And that is pretty good. But I think he can still get to that, though. With a little bit of help in English, he can kick the 3. Again, doing the right thing. He's calling the pocket. If that 5 ball was a little bit squarer towards the 4 there, he wouldn't have been able to get to this. And the situation hasn't changed here. The 2 fouls have gone. 4 ball still nowhere near to be potted. Although the billiard is on from the 4 to the 9. Well, he's going to nudge the 9 in. And once again, though, no shot. I think he was maybe hoping to nudge the 4 and 5 there. But he's got no joy. And just a light feather off the 4 would seem to be the choice of shot here. A light feather just to clip it behind the 5 and get that cue ball into the long grass at the other end of the table. Well, he hit it too thick. He wanted it thinner than that. Okay, he's got the cover though. That's the most important thing. But ideally, he would have wanted to try and keep that 4 ball as close to the 5 as he could there to make it more difficult for Vincez to get a sight on it. Easy enough jump shot. And this is where Vincez has to get lucky, and where Bedhead just wants something simple enough to run out. Now, how's his luck? If he goes behind that 10, it is very lucky, and that now has got Bedhead in a stack of bother at 12-8 behind. A wide open 4 ball in the middle of the table. The only problem is still the 5. The 5 is tight past the 7, but when you're looking down it, it goes no problem. But if you're playing that from any angle, it multiplies the difficulty on it. He could play a combo in the 7. I'm talking about Vincez if he gets the chance. Meanwhile, Bedhead using the old kick and hope technique here. Just blast it and hope you get lucky. That's all you can do. And he's not going to get the luck. So now Vincez has everything under his control, and the outcome of this rack is hinging on the 5 ball. We know it goes if you're looking at it the way he's looking at it now, but can he get there? And the match has now been on for exactly 2 hours. Well worth the wait. Well, that's not the angle to be playing it at, but it's going to go in on the right hand side of that pocket, and he's not risking it. Again, sensible, common sense shot. Why risk it when you can play the better safety shot? And that is straight out of my tactical genius book. That's what I like to see. Why take the risk when you've got your opponent on the rack? They're almost dead and buried. And what do? You make it even more bloody tough for them. That's exactly what you do. You don't have any sympathy. You make them suffer. And Bedhead is in a whole heap of trouble. Well, this is what you would call backs to the wall stuff. And you either drop dead or you come out fighting. And Bedhead, a desperate attempt to jump that, nigh on impossible. It was so tight. And it's now ball in hand to Vincez. He has the reward for his choice of shot. He made the right decision. And now the table's at his mercy. And where can this go wrong? And vincez has used his extension, so he's got the minute shot clock, so he's still got enough time to take his time. I think that's gone a wee bit straight. No, he's okay. He can punch a little angle there. That needs to keep running. The further out the better. Makes it simpler. Just a little soft draggy shot to hold for the 8. And a very similar shot on this 8 ball, just to get the cue ball towards that right middle pocket. And this time, barring an accident on this 10 ball, it will be vincez needing one more rack for round 3. And Bedhead breaking for his existence in the winner's side in this tournament. He's got a ball in the break, but once again, no joy this time, although he should have the cue ball tight. And that is not bad. Easy enough to kick the 1 though. Plenty of room off that long rail on the right hand side to get the kick. Well, that's ended up not too bad again. Middle of no man's land here for Bedhead. So he may well just try and bank that 1 ball towards the bunch of balls, bring the cue ball back over to the right side. Well, he's gone the other way. He's trying to put the cue ball in behind the bunch. But it still just leaves vincez a not too difficult jump shot to get to the 1. You could even kick at the 1 from the bottom rail here. There's room to get to the 1 ball from there. In fact, if I was up 13-8, I think I'd be more inclined to play the kick from the bottom end and call the 1 ball into that top left-hand pocket. I'd be more inclined to do that. Play the kick to there and call the 1 there. And if you got lucky, you would have probably a shot in the 2. Now, is that what he's doing now? I don't know whether he called that pocket. No, he's playing the jump. Well, this time he's not got the running. Bedhead has a chance. The balls are all there for the taking, but once again, he is way, way short on any decent shot on that too. And immediately we're seeking a bank shot to keep his visit going. And the 2 ball's going to double bank, so it's going to be a missed call. And now vincez has a choice to play from where he is or put Bedhead back in. Well, no prizes for guessing what he's going to do, because he's got a straight in 3 ball. If he can get the good angle in the 4, he can get up to that top end of the table, either left side or right side, and he'll have a shot in the 5. And that looks a pretty good little angle. You can make use of that. will do very nicely indeed, although he could have done by going a wee bit further, but he's still got the 5. Well, things are not looking good here for Bedhead. That could have done by going straighter on the 6. Because now it's, well, if he plays this with the inside English, he can try and get himself right over here and have the cut on the 7. That's the one way of getting there. He can certainly, he's got the angle to get that cue ball over. Anywhere over here will give him a cut on that 7. Well, he's hit it with the power to get across twice, and that is beautiful. You're always risking when you play the power shots, but he's playing to win the match, and a thoroughly deserved victory this is going to be for Vincez. From that little bit of a dodgy start, he has come on strong, and he's pretty much dominated a large chunk of the match, holding off Bedhead, and in the end it's a 14-8 victory for Vincez, and that is certainly the best match I've seen so far, and a very solid performance by Vincez. Worked really hard for his racks and kept Bedhead in trouble for a big chunk of it as well, so that was well done. And we'll have a look at the bracket, and we will see how that takes shape on the bracket. So now we have Larry and Bedhead over on the one-loss side. They're 2 potential winners of the tournament. Now let's see where he is. Well, Bedhead is in there, and he has a match with Miasma, and Bedhead should comfortably win that match. Having seen Miasma, I think it was at Semi-Pro that was playing. Bedhead should be the favourite for that to carry on the one-loss side. And well, Mr. Nineball is going to be playing Gada Jaka Glower, but that's not until the 19th, so that's a while away. Right, the more important side of the tournament is we see that Vincez has now moved through to round 3, and he is going to play the winner of the Popman Interchange match, which takes place on Saturday early evening, my time, 6 PM. And then up top here we have the match that's going to be on later on tonight, and that is between Mr. Bill and Romario, and that is set for 12 midnight my time, and I will be there, assuming both players turn up and assuming I can stay awake. I'll be there for that one. So that is it, folks. Certainly enjoyed that match, enjoyed your company. Thanks for joining, and if you can't stay up to watch the match, then by all means go to my YouTube channel, and you'll be able to watch the match on there rather than going to the Twitch channel. So until then, chaps, I'm going to go and get my chinky and have my dinner, and I will see you later on. See you later.